We're back at Dandy Engines today with something a little bit different. Now Lou, normally we film a lot of V8 stuff, supercharged, turbocharged, that sort of thing. This isn't an outright powerhouse, but this is something, I guess, old school, cool nostalgia, isn't it?
It is, very much indeed. The Strata kit was something that was available back in the HG sort of days. It was under $1,000 to buy it. Probably not much more than buying the car, as the gentleman said.
I just heard it was $900 for the kit, and the HG itself was $1,300.
But look, it gave you a lively engine with the sense that it made a bunch of torque, which they didn't have. Probably not so much in the horsepower avenue, but you felt it in the car, and it was lively to drive. So it was a good gig for a lot of money. You look at the scheme of things today, what you pay for twin turbos, and injection and all that stuff. Well, that was no different in those days.
Yeah, I mean, we just ran it up on the dyno and it made like 230 foot-pounds. That's got to be, what, double?
Yeah.
About standard, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it definitely gives you the torque, and that's what they feel. They see that in the car, and that's what they want.
It's probably comparable to a stock 308 of that era, or?
Yeah, or a healthy 253, yeah, for that sort of foot-pound. Again, the horsepower isn't there. Look, it hasn't got the fantastic flow and all the bells and whistles with carburetors and that. It just runs a CD, 175 CD carburetor, which, for all we know, could have come off a Volvo. Who knows? It's a metric version of it, so there's probably better ways of going about it, but when you've got the original package that come with the car when you bought it, in its day when it was all new and all said and done, it was a 200 horsepower deal.
Yeah, okay. That's what they
the thing made 180 with the fuel and the carburetor and the different fuel and that carburetor. So
you're not chasing horsepower here. It's just
not at all. No, not at all. It's just more to point to run it. Say, yeah, it's good. There's no puddles on the ground. It's all happy. Take it away. Put it in the car.
And obviously being a draw-through, you can't really run too much boost because you're really just sucking in a lot of hot air, isn't there?
Well, yeah, the air cleaner is right next to the intake. It's right in front of a radiator. It's just got all the wrong things that you didn't want to happen. A lot of people used to put like a spray of methanol in it to try and get rid of the detonation and make the charge cold. But again, it's it is a big compromise.
So this is back, this only runs about, what, 5 or 6 PSI or something?
Yeah, factory they're about 7 PSI, I think. Yeah. So you can turn it up, but then you're fighting the elements of the carburetor, trying to make it all come alive and stay alive.
So this must be hard to tune in terms of trying to get it to idle correctly and your cruise and wide open. Because you were saying you're pretty limited with needles and that sort of thing with it. Yeah,
well, you can't buy needles to different variances, so you've got to get a needle and start marking it out and then turn it all down and try and make another flow of needle to sort of give you a fuel curve, which we normally get just by doing air bleeds and jets.
Check the jets.
Or a laptop. So everything has got to be handmade. You can't just go to your local shop and go, give me one of these, just a little bit leaner. It doesn't work. So
the engine itself's pretty factory inside, is it?
Yeah, look, it's got a very mild camshaft, which is what it had in it. It's got rod bolts in it, some valve springs in it. There's no porting, the guy wasn't after. It hurt a crankshaft because it had no restrictor in the turbo supply, so all the oil was going straight in the sump instead of through the engine. Because it needs an oil feed for the turbo, it was wasting more oil than actually going through the engine.
Okay.
So that's what hurt the crankshaft in the end. So basically, it's a stock standard engine, freshened up with everything put back on it.
So did it have an upgraded style head gasket of that era, or is it all just?
Nah, they ran a low comp head. They had no compression.
Yeah.
So it was okay to do what you were doing then. But when this came to us, unbeknownst to us, we didn't run it, we didn't know, but it had 14 pounds of boost. And when you do that with today's fuels and not being able to manage the fuel side of it, we torched the gasket. So then we said, okay, let's put a Cometic gasket on it, metal shim gasket, so that's fixed that problem.
And this is just running on 98 octane?
Yeah,
so I guess you said earlier, obviously back in the day it would have run on super.
It would have, it would have been done, well that's what we had in those days as super, so it reacts differently to, an unleaded fuel. So it was probably a little bit more forgiving. It had different characteristics in it. So this was built to run that fuel. So now you're trying to run it on a fuel that's so much different. It's like, I can't, reinvent that whole carburettor because you can't change it. They want to keep that look. They want to keep that whole thing.
Some of your workers here have come past and they're like, oh, we should put EFI on it. We should change this, change that. But I'm like, all they want to do is horsepower. But I actually like the fact that it's come out of the HG, the original. This was originally in the same car and it's going back in the same car. That is pretty cool.
Yep. And the guy is, as you saw him before, he's about 110 years old. A lovely old fella, and he's had the thing probably since new. You know, so he loves it.
He said all these came about after, after he got back from the Vietnam, I think.
Yeah. So he served his time there, and he had a bit of coin when he got back, and guess what did we spend it on?
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing it in the car.
Yeah, and that'll be a cool thing, I reckon. Yeah, good fun.
Now, this is the original Holden RB30 t-shirt that the little wee man's wearing. What happened to your mullet?
It's gone.
What do you mean it's gone?
It is gone.
Are we going to grow it back?
No.
We've got to grow the mullet back. You can get these in our shop, shop.fullboost.com.au. The original RB30. They look great in red.
Believe it or not, the hardest bit is finding 186 bits.
Yeah, really.
They just get out the door. No one wants to play with it. Oh. Everything's going to be, a 202, or it's going to have a 202 with a struck crank in it. No one really keeps the 186 engine anymore.
We're back at Dandy Engines today with something different. 202, oh sorry, it's not a 202.
186?
Is it a 192, is it?
It's a 186, I think. Yeah, no, 186.